Good afternoon, dear Felipe. I'm very happy that you have accepted my interview proposal to talk about your conversion to Orthodox spirituality, considering that you are living in Brazil. Brazil itself being a country with a very deep spirituality and very, let's say, according to the standards of Catholic Church. And it will be very interesting for our listeners to hear a little bit from your life story, life experience, especially because you are very young. As far as I understood, you are only 19 years old, but you have already took a decision for your life, a very important decision, if I can call it like that, to convert to Orthodox Church. And first of all, please do tell us some words about you, about your life experience, and what was the reason why you decided to become a member of the Orthodox Church.
Sure, it's a pleasure of mine to be here with you in your interview. And yeah, sure, I can talk a bit of myself, my decision, and what led me to the Church of the Apostles, the true Church of Jesus Christ. So yeah, as you told, my name is Felipe Jansen. I was born here in Brazil. I was born in a Protestant background. My mother is a Russian German Mennonite. It's a Protestant sect, Baptist, and my dad is from a Presbyterian family. So all of my family were Protestants, and for a long time. It's not like recently converted. My mother's family was Protestant since the Reformation. So yeah, I grew up with my dad was even a preacher. I grew up with a lot of Protestantism, and I confess that removing all those Protestant concepts from my head was pretty hard on my Orthodox journey. But yeah, I was born in 2004. I'm 19 years old. I was born in the South Brazil. It's um, it's a colder part of Brazil, in the European region, and I always I like to see myself as someone who is a very curious person. I always like to learn a lot about the world. I always loved history, geography, religions, philosophy. This kind of stuff always had a big appeal for me. And I remember that when I was younger, not yet Orthodox, but still a Protestant, I would feel very strongly the lack of tradition in the Protestant churches. Not only that, but I knew that both the Catholics and the Orthodox had apostolic succession. That is, the apostles who made the church, they kept the succession of appointing bishops from the day of today. And I saw that we Protestants didn't have this, and I thought, well, if the for me, I didn't made much of a distinction in that time between the Catholics and the Orthodox, but I started thinking, well, if they had the authority over us to compile the Bible, if they had because the Bible was compiled by for example, Saint Jerome and the early the councils, and in the early history of the church, which is now the Orthodox Church. So I always kept those thoughts in my head. If they had the authority to compile the Bible for me, why they haven't the authority to why? When did they lose the authority? What happened? That in the beginning God used His church, the united in Europe, and then it disbanded. What happened? When did Protestantism became the right thing and Orthodox and Catholicism became the wrong thing? I always kept those questions in my head. So as Brazil, probably you know, is a majority Catholic country. I'd say 60% of the population here is Catholic. I started to have interest in it. I went to to a Catholic school. My parents put me in it after I complained a lot from the Protestant school, because the Protestant school I was in was an Adventist school, Seventh-day Adventist, and they are very extremist, and I was beginning to question all of religion just because of them, because it was a really hard time being one of those Protestant schools. But after that, I got in the Catholic school. I started going to the mass, as we call here, and started becoming interesting, how the tradition, the things that they kept from the past. And I remember that my only thing that I didn't like about the Catholics, were the Roman Catholics, I say, were the fact that it was very hard to me to to in my head to see them praying to statues, and oh, do I need to do this as well? And also the Pope, I never liked him. Even more the popes after the Second Vatican Council, that brought a lot of modernity and stuff that aren't nice to the Catholic Church. And then I started, I'd say in 2020, 21, searching more about Orthodoxy. Who are they? What they believe? What are the difference between the Orthodox and the Catholics? I started with these questions in my head, and it was hard to know Catholics personally, because by that time I lived in São Paulo, and I didn't knew any Orthodox in there. I only in the south I knew some, like Ukrainian Orthodox, because in the south where I live now, it's there's a lot of Orthodox, mainly Ukrainian. So there's a lot. I myself go to under the Constantinople Patriarchate, canonical one, and I started seeing this the difference, and I saw that actually in the I don't remember which council now, but the what was agreed even between the Orthodox and the Catholics was that the Holy Spirit came only from the Father, not from the Father and the Son. The Catholics later changed that, and they agreed, and then they changed, but isn't like the Pope infallible, as we call here. He committed a mistake. He changed his mind that the Holy Spirit also comes from the Son. This plus the thing that the Catholic Church was in a really hard situation after the Second Council of the Vatican, made me approach more on Orthodoxy. I remember when I went to Curitiba, it's currently the city that I live in. There's a lot of Orthodox churches in, and I made an Orthodox friend. He gave me a calendar, Orthodox calendar, and I started learning a lot about it. And I was in a moment that I really wanted to go to an Orthodox church. I just hadn't the opportunity because I live far. And then in the end of 2021, in December, I met the girl that currently is my wife. I didn't know this, but I'm married. Yes, at 19 years old, I'm married. And I met her. She's from Russia. I met her over the internet, and we started talking, and then in February of 2022, we started dating. Like 20 days before the war, we already started dating. And we started a very nice relationship. In August, she came with her mother here to Brazil to meet with my parents, and then then she returned to Russia. And in November, I went to Russia, including both Moscow and Siberia, to meet her dad. And when I was there in Siberia, in a town called Bratsk in Irkutsk Oblast, I was I was in the home of her grandmother, her babushka, and she asked me. I remember her family is the mother side is Orthodox, and that side is Rodnoveri, a pagan. Her dad is pagan, so that's why she didn't. She wasn't baptized yet. Only her mother, her grandmother, and her grandma asked me if I was Christian. I said yes, and but she asked, "Oh, well, where we were baptized?" I said, "Oh, not yet, because Protestants, especially Baptists, they baptize in only after you become an adult." I said, "Oh, not yet." So she said to me, "Oh, why don't you get baptized now? You can." I said, "Yeah, really? Okay." So we went walking to a church, Orthodox church in the middle of the woods in that town in Siberia. We talked to the batyushka, to the priest, and I told him my situation, that I'm from Brazil. I live very far from any Orthodox church. That was my opportunity to get baptized. And he said, "Okay, come tomorrow. We'll do your baptism. Just don't eat anything." Okay, I did that. In the day after I went there, I was baptized by immersion. I got chrismated. I had the communion, and yeah, together with my wife, because she wasn't baptized yet. We became Orthodox together, even though she's Russian. So yeah, that's the history of how I became Orthodox. So it was very unexpected, because I didn't expect in the journey to Russia that I would get baptized. But after that, I began learning more. I entered an Orthodox group. I started traveling 2 hours to go to a Russian Orthodox church in the state that I used to live, São Paulo. And I began seeing, because before I saw like Orthodoxy as the rightest of our church, but among all churches. But now I see Orthodoxy as the only church, the only right church. That's the church, the only church that Jesus and his apostles made on earth. So yeah, and now I live here in Curitiba. It's a city with many Orthodox churches. I help in the altar at the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Constantinople Patriarchate. And yeah, this is it. That's my journey as an Orthodox Christian.
A very interesting and a very deep one. And I can tell you that I'm totally impressed by your decision, especially to get married at a very young age.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Not, and you know, I'm living in Romania, a Western country, and in general in Romania and in Europe, we reject somehow this idea of getting married at such young age. And maybe you did that just because you have met the chosen of your heart, and it is clear that everything has been planified by God, because otherwise maybe you would have taken another kind of decision. But it's very interesting, not because you have got married, because you are still very young, but because of a spiritual reason. You took that step because of a spiritual reason, because you discovered Christ, of course, in the Orthodox Church, because it has been your choice, and all of us, we have to understand it, because some other people can discover Jesus Christ and the truth in Catholic Church or in a Protestant denomination. I have met so many persons who testify about that, but it's very deep testimony, the way you discover Christ, and the way the woman you have met made you change a little bit your orientation or a little bit your perception, and now you have become a member of Orthodox Church. Not only a member, because you are a believer, and I think you have many testimonies, many things to tell us about. As for example, what kind of revelations have you lived since you are an Orthodox, and so on. But please, for the beginning, just tell me how it is for you now. What is different in your life since you became an Orthodox? What changed in a radical way from the moment you have chosen to become an Orthodox believer?
Well, the main thing that changed is that I began to go to church every Sunday, because when I was a Protestant, being honest, I didn't like to go to church, because the Protestant church is very much a talk show. You know, there's no beauty in it. It's a building like any house. If it wasn't by the descriptions, we would think it's a show house. And you go there, it's everything simple. There's no icons, there's nothing, just perhaps sometimes a cross. But here there are Protestants that even the cross they don't like to use. Like for some Protestants, even a cross like this is a very taboo, because they, here in Brazil, Protestants like to say, we call them evangelicals. They like to say, my Jesus is in the cross. Of course, Jesus resurrected, but if not by the cross, we would not be saved. So what's the meaning? So I went, when I was a Protestant, I used to go to the church like only once each 3 months, I'd say, together with my grandma. But I didn't like it because it was very bland. It was a talk show. There was no tradition, there was no beauty, and the priest, he just said what was in his head. He didn't prepare a lot for the administration. So yeah, the main thing that changed in my life is that I actively began going to church. And yeah, about praying, I always prayed all my life, because my parents are very, even though they're not Orthodox, they are very believers, and they always read the Bible for me and told me to pray, always pray in every situation. And I simply cannot sleep if I don't pray. I cannot. I hear some people saying, "Oh, sometimes I go to sleep and I forget about praying." I can like count on my fingers in all my life the days that happen, because I simply cannot sleep if I don't pray. And I pray in every situation, and I see that it helps very much in everything. I always get the answers that I'm looking for when I pray. And about praying, I still prayed, but I now pray. I have an icon corner there in here in my apartment, and I usually pray there. I have 2 prayer books with a lot of prayers. So, but the main thing that changed, that I actively began going to church every week.
Now, I have to take into account the fact that you're living in Brazil. As far as I can guess, there are not too many Brazilian Orthodox churches, or let's say Orthodox churches on the territory of Brazil. On the other hand, I also know there is a so-called independent Brazilian Orthodox Church, which is not recognized by the traditional Orthodox churches. This church I'm talking about is a part of a French origins Orthodox Church, the so-called Western Rite in France, and the Brazilian Church belongs to French Church, the Patriarchate of the Nations, ruled by a patriarch called Nicolas, which I know personally. But just tell me, please, how it is for you to be a Brazilian converted to Orthodoxy? Because I guess you have many friends who belong to Protestant denominations, Neo-Protestant denominations, not to say to the Roman Catholic Church. So do you feel as if you were a little bit different as a Brazilian, considering that you belong to Orthodox Church, or it is something that it's an honor for you? Do you feel blessed that you represent somehow Orthodoxy in a country like Brazil?
Well, here in Brazil, yeah, we have some. First, answering the thing about Orthodox churches here in Brazil, we have like the Orthodox community is very small, very small. I know like most of them, like it's there's I'd say like there's less than 1,000 people, but they are very united, very united. Like we have groups here in Brazil in social medias, and we always help each other. Like if anyone needs um, advices, what do I need to do, what do I need to go. We are a very united community, and so And we also have a map that one of the members of our church created, showing all the canonical churches in Brazil, like only the canonical, the true ones, like Moscow Patriarchate, Constantinople Patriarchate, Antiochian Church. We also have the Polish Orthodox Church, which is also canonical here. So we have a map showing in order to avoid, because yeah, there's a lot of those fake Orthodox churches around here in Brazil, of people that like there's two types. There are the schismatics. Those are people that like priests or bishops that used to be Orthodox and then had a schism with the church. One that I can mention is, for example, the Russian Orthodox Church of outside of Russia, Rokor. Do you know it?
Yes.
We had a very big presence of Rokor here in Brazil. We had like 6 churches of the Rokor, most of them in São Paulo, that were built like 100 years ago when the migration from the White Armies, this kind of stuff. And in 2007, the Rokor, they made an union with the Moscow Patriarchate. And when they did this union, the bishop here in Brazil, he didn't accept this union. And he, instead of, he made a schism and joined a new synod of a bishop from Odessa, Ukraine, called Agafangelo. Yeah, and it's sad because they are very beautiful churches because they used to be canonical. Like churches built 100 years ago, super beautiful with a lot of icons, a lot of history. They have everything in there, but they are schismatic. And I know some Brazilians that got interest in the Orthodox Church and went to one of those non-canonical churches. I even know personally people from Russian immigrants. I don't know if I mentioned, but here at my home, my wife doesn't speak English, neither Portuguese. I only speak Russian with her. So I'm very close to the Russian community here in Brazil as well. Like there are many Russian immigrants, mainly now because of the war and stuff like that. And how can I say? I even got invited to one of those schismatic churches by one Russian that used to be canonical, but went here and started going to those. So it's very important what our Orthodox community do to map all the canonical Orthodox churches. And about being non-Orthodox in Brazil, I never faced discrimination. People either don't know nothing about it, or they think it's some kind of cool Eastern Catholicism, something like that. Even the Protestants, they like the Orthodoxy more than Catholicism because we don't have the Pope. So they say, oh, you're like, it's wrong, of course, but they say, oh, you're like the Protestants, but from 1,000 years ago. It's funny. So they tend to respect a lot. I never faced any discrimination from my family because even though my family is Protestant, they are very open-minded. And the only difficulty is that I can't live anywhere that I want because now as an Orthodox, I need to go to the church on Sunday to get the Eucharist. I need to take communion of the body of Christ. So I can't live anywhere because it's not everywhere that we have Orthodox church, only the bigger cities. So if I now live in a big city because I study in a college, but if I like the climate, the countryside more. I love the countryside, especially here in the south where there are many colonies, people that keep their traditions. It's very cool. But in those countryside, it's rare to find Orthodox churches, canonical ones. So yeah, the only limitation is that you can't live anywhere you want. But besides from that, I never faced any discriminations. Everything all right. Thanks to God.
Now, as I told you before we started the interview, I had the opportunity of meeting a lot of Western intellectuals who converted to Orthodox Church. I can give you an example, Jean-Claude Lafay from France. Maybe you have read him. If not, I recommend him because he's very involved in Orthodox spirituality, and he's talking about the correspondence between physical diseases and also spiritual diseases. And this is why I recommend him to any Orthodox convert, because he might be a guide for anyone who makes such a choice. I have also met, for example, different different writers or philosophers, for example, Jonathan Jacobs or Rico Weitz, who took the decision to become Orthodox, and they are great representatives of contemporary philosophy in US and also in Canada. So that meant something for me as an Orthodox, because to tell you the truth, I always like to be sincere, especially when I confess about my spirituality. I'm a Romanian, I'm living in Romania, and Romania is an Orthodox church in its majority, but it doesn't matter for me because I'm telling you the truth. I can find Jesus Christ everywhere because I have an universal thinking. But I just wanted to understand better my Orthodox heritage. I was afraid that I might miss something which might be very important, and this is why I took the decision to publish a number of interviews and also books with different Australian converted to Orthodoxy. You know what is interesting? Someone who discovers step-by-step Orthodoxy is a little bit more blessed than someone who was born in Orthodox Church, in Orthodox tradition, because for us, Orthodox spirituality is just an identity, but we lose from its meaning in time. But someone like US, for example, maybe you have, as far as I understood, you haven't even been baptized in a church. And you have searched and searched and searched until you found the truth for you, which is in Orthodox Church. And this is why most of them are much more enthusiastic, because they live in the deepest way possible, the Orthodox spirituality. And this is the reason why I want to put you the following questions, if you can answer this kind of question, of course. Which are the greatest and the most important revelations that you have lived as an Orthodox, especially in Brazil, but not only in Brazil, because as far as I understood, you have been traveling a lot, especially to Russia being an Orthodox country. And please do tell us about a little bit more about your experiences and what is the most important lesson that you have learned since you have become an Orthodox Christian.
Well, you mentioned something interesting about the people that the diaspora. No, sorry, the people that become Orthodox having more faith and not only being like an identity, like the people that are born Orthodox, but here in Brazil we have both people. The majority of the Orthodox here in Brazil are people that converted, but we have also a lot of people from the diaspora. We had a lot of Greek immigrants, Russian, Ukrainian mainly. Here in my state, 20% of the population is Ukrainian. It's a very Slavic state. So we have a big diaspora as well. So, but there's a saying in here. We say, both the diaspora and the converts have one thing to learn from each other, because the converts, the diaspora, like the people that are born Orthodox, they need to learn from the converts the faith that they have, because the people that convert usually have more faith because they had to pursue it. They had to abandon their old faith, their old identity, in order to go to a new one. So in order to do that, you need a lot of faith in this new one. So the diaspora can really learn from the converts to have this faith. But the people that are converted have one thing to learn from the diaspora and to people that are born Orthodox, which is to have patience, because many people that are converted to Orthodoxy, they are very anxious. They want everything now. For example, oh, we need to like regain now union like with Rome, some say, or now we need to do this. I want to become ordained. I want to become a priest. I will become a monk, and then I will become a bishop. Like people that are converted into Orthodoxy, they are very anxious. They want everything now. They would, oh, let's go, let's build more churches. Yes, yes. While the people of the diaspora, they are patient. Everything needs time because they are already in this journey for a long time, so they know how things are, and they aren't as anxious as the people that are converted. So yeah, both have one thing to learn with each other, both the diaspora and the converts. They one need to learn to be patient, what the other needs to learn the faith that the other has. And besides than that, about my experiences, of course, I always loved prayer, as I said, but now more than ever, prayer works. Like it's incredible. It's incredible how prayer works. For example, I asked my Orthodox friends, "Oh, which is, for example, the Orthodox saint that intercedes for us, like for searching a job, or for health, or for stuff like that, because we ask different saints for intercession for different things usually, and they say, oh, this one for work, and like it is amazing, like asking for intercession, praying really works. It's I remember when I prayed to, oh, now I don't remember exactly the saint that I asked intercession, but like in order to find work, and like 1 week later, I was already in a good, very good job. So yeah, I see more than ever how prayer works, how communion is everything in our lives. It's very important to have. There's even a saying in Portuguese that's something like that. Domingo sem missa, semana sem bênção. Like a Sunday without a mass, a liturgy, it's a week without a blessing. Because we see how different it is, like a week that we take communion, that we partake the body of Christ, and a week that we don't go to church. Everything is different. Everything, when we go to church regularly, everything changes. Everything changes for better. So yeah, that's the most important experiences. I see how prayer we need to pray every time. Especially the most important one is the prayer of the heart. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. That's the most effective one, because in that I read some books, like for example the Russian Peregrine. It's a very nice Orthodox book, and it tells how the prayer of the heart is it's a prayer for everything, because if Lord Jesus Christ have mercy on us, everything good happens. You don't need to specifically say, oh, please Jesus, find me a work. Please Jesus, I need money because I'm without food. Oh, please Jesus, I need help. Oh, please Jesus, like forgive my sins. Like this phrase, have mercy on me, a sinner, it's like a phrase for everything. So yeah, the prayer of the heart is the most important thing. So yeah, the things I learned and my experiences are those. Like prayer is everything. We need to Sunday partake into the body of Christ. Patience is everything. Not wanting everything fast, 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 because it's a journey. You don't get everything fast. You don't get everything in your time. You need to have patience, and the most important thing is to love one another. Da ljubite drug druga. Love one another. That's the most important teaching, because we can have anything, but without love we have nothing.
Very well said. Without love, we'll have nothing. And very wise from you, because I repeat, you have just graduated the high school, but nevertheless, you are so mature, and certainly you are a model for the other ones of your generations. And I really hope that this YouTube interview will help a lot our listeners, because most of them are English speakers, and they should understand very well the depth of your life experience. Now tell me, please, because you are a Brazilian, and as I told you, I really want to discover the spirituality of Brazil, and I know Brazil is a very special country by its history, by its resistance, and also because it's a very holy land. Tell me, please, can you talk about any important holy places for an Orthodox in Brazil, especially for you as a Brazilian converted to Orthodox Church? It is possible for anyone to find a monastery or a church or a holy place which might belong to Orthodox spirituality and might be important for a Brazilian?
Yes, we have a very nice monastery in here. It's in the northeastern regions, and I know many people from there, and it's a very holy place. We already have like, I'd say like 5-6 monks living in this monastery. It's not very old, it's kind of new, and it was founded by the Polish church in Brazil, the Polish Orthodox Church. We have two I didn't met them personally yet, but we have two very blessed bishops in the Polish church, which is Dom Chrysostom and Dom Ambrosio. They are very holy people, I don't know them personally, but people that I know that know them say that they are something else. Those guys, they are people that are very blessed. So for an Orthodox wanting to do like a pilgrimage in here, going to holy places, I'd say go to the mosteiro, we call it the monastery, in the northeast. I think it's in the state of Pernambuco or Paraíba. I need to get I can give you the address if you want. And also where the Orthodoxy is strongest here in my state, Paraná, because of here in Paraná we have something like 10 churches, Orthodox, around the state. It's not very, I would say not very big, but if we see, it's the size of Romania in my state. But yeah, we have churches are around because it's the state with the most Slavic population, mainly Ukrainians, Polish, and we have, and I know personally my bishop of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Constantinople Patriarchate. He's an awesome person as well. His name is Dom Jeremias. You can even find about him in Wikipedia. He's somewhat famous because he not only manages those, I'd say 10 or more churches here in my state, but also the Orthodox, the Ukrainian Orthodox community of Argentina and Paraguay. He manages them all. So he in his life he founded many churches. He sent many missions. He's a very interesting person. I like my bishop very much. By the way, this crest that I'm wearing now, it was given by me by my bishop, because I serve in the cathedral, in the altar. So I meet the bishop the episcopal very frequently. So yeah, for someone wanting to come in here, I'd say those two places: the monastery in northeast and Paraná, where it would be very helpful. I can I will put here in the chat the link to the maps where they're all listed, all canonical Orthodox churches in Brazil. I'll do this now. Here.
Thank you so much.
You can give a look.
Perfect, because I really want to discover, let's say, the hidden Orthodox identity of Brazil, and then to spread this reality even in my country, because, you know, in general, in this part of Europe, people are quite ignorant, and they have no idea about the existence of some of an Orthodox Brazilian community, or not even of a Western European community, because they are only thinking about Romanian Orthodox Church, Bulgarian Orthodox Church, Russian or Greek Orthodox Church, which is wrong. If we pretend that the truth can only be found in the Orthodox Church, then why should be Orthodoxy divided between nations? Because I really don't understand that. At least Catholic Church is a universal one. So why are we doing these discriminations? Because I think there should be no national Orthodox Church, but only a universal one. And this is another question I want to ask you. Many Westerners converted to Orthodoxy told me they have a serious problem. The fact that they feel discriminated because they don't feel as if they were home, because they belong to a culture, but they feel that they are somehow forced to give up on their culture and automatically to become somehow Russians or Greeks or Bulgarians or Georgians and so on. Because they cannot hear the liturgy, as for example, in their mother tongue, which is very important. As for example, you are a Brazilian, you shouldn't be forced to listen to the Orthodox liturgy in, I don't know, in Bulgarian or in Hungarian, or I don't know. You have to hear in your mother tongue, in Portuguese. Do you feel any discrimination from this point of view? Because as far as I can guess, you love a lot your identity, your national identity, your Brazilian culture. You are very addicted to your country. And I don't think you'd like to become something different comparing to what you are from a cultural point of view. Do you still feel Brazilian in the Orthodox Church, or have you ever felt that somehow you would be forced to give up on your culture and automatically to become, I don't know, somehow a person belonging to an Orthodox culture, not to Brazilian culture?
I understand what you say. Yeah, it's very important to know that. Now in the more modern times, most of the Orthodox churches are now adapting most of the liturgy to the Portuguese language. For example, the Polish Orthodox Church, of Polish they have nothing because everyone is Brazilian there. 100% of the liturgy is in Portuguese. Absolutely the bishops, the priests, all are Brazilians. For example, the one I said, Dom Crisóstomo, if he's the first bishop, natively Brazilian, canonical Orthodox bishop. He's the first Brazilian, because all the other ones were people from the diaspora, people. So yeah, the Polish Orthodox Church is doing a very nice work, like not only serving for the diaspora, because diaspora doesn't go there. It's a church for the Brazilian people. It's all in Portuguese, and they do missions like in the countryside of the Northeast, in the poor regions, in the middle of nothing. They go in there, they make churches, and it's awesome. It's very beautiful what they do. And here where I live, we don't have the Polish Orthodox Church. We have mainly the Ukrainian because of the descendants, and we also have the Antiochian and the Greek in my city and state in general. But yeah, I understand what you say. I know people that for them it's a problem to, for example, go to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church that I go, because they understand nothing, because they have a paper for the translation, but the liturgy is like 80 or 90% in Ukrainian. It's almost everything in Ukrainian. For me, it's not a problem. I understand perfectly Ukrainian, but for them it's somewhat hard. I have a friend, his name is Herman. He's Orthodox. He used to go with me to the Ukrainian, but now he's going to the Antiochian, the Arabic one, because it's at least 50% in Arabic, 50% in Portuguese. It's he understands 50%, but it's better than understanding nothing. So yeah, but yeah, there's this thing that many of the diaspora churches, there's some polemics, like cases that people from the church treated better people that are from the ethnicity instead of treating the Brazilians, and that's actually a sin. That's how is it called? Filetismo. It's condemned, the sin that, like, putting your ethnicity first than the Orthodoxy. And the Orthodox Church, as you said, should be one. like the churches are only like to the like Bulgarian, Romanian, Greek, Serbian, Russian. They are like for a language, but it's one church. It shouldn't be many churches. So yeah, it's a problem when this philitism happens. And here in Brazil, it sometimes happens in the church. People treating people better from their culture than treating Brazilians. But in my case, especially, I like in the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, I feel no problem because I'm very used to this culture. Because as I said, my family, my mom is German from Russia, but of German they have nothing. My great grandparents spoke Russian. My babushka always cooked, for example, vareniki, borscht, holubtsi, Russian food. I was, despite them being Protestant, I was very inserted in the Slavic culture, both by culinary, by the tales, by our dances, our music. So going to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church is absolutely no problem to me because I understand everything. I even go with some Ukrainian costumes like the Vyshivanka or the Russian Kasavorotka, which I have. So, and my wife, she feels comfortable in there because she's Russian. So yeah, for me it's not a big deal, but for other people that having nothing to do with the Slavic culture, that are 100% like Brazilian culture, yeah, well, sometimes they feel a bit discriminated.
Do you think that there are any chances in the future of a flourishment of what we can call Brazilian Orthodox Church? In some other words, do you think that Brazilians will have in the future their own Orthodox Church in their own mother tongue from a liturgical point of view?
Not in the future, because we already have, for example, this Polish Orthodox Church. It's only called Polish Orthodox Church for canonical reasons. But if you see in their registry, like in their official registry, they're called Brazilian Orthodox Church. Of Polish, they have nothing. It's 100% Brazilian. All the liturgy is Portuguese. They venerate saints that like they actually venerate people that will be canonized saints. For example, Dom Gabriel de Lisboa, the enlightener of Brazil, we call it. It was the man who brought like Orthodoxy to Brazil, to the Brazilians. The first, he already died. He was a bishop in Portugal, and the people here venerate him, and he may get canonized. So we already have a Brazilian Orthodox Church, which is the Polish Orthodox Church, but Polish is only the canonical name because it's 100% Brazilian, and it's growing. They are always having new monks, new priests, everyone Brazilian doing missions, like missionary work in the more like in hospitals, like the more the far regions of Brazil. So yeah, we already have a Brazilian Orthodox Church, and they are doing very well.
Do you think somehow that you are a representative of Orthodoxy in your country, in Brazil, and on the other hand, would you like in the future to spread the saving Orthodox message among your co-nationals? Because as far as I can guess, you want for your friends to become and to belong in the future to Orthodox Church, considering that it is here where the truth can be found. And from this point of view, do you think that you have also a missionary work to deploy there in your country for your co-nationals?
Well, yeah, every time that I can, I like tell people about Orthodoxy. I tell everyone I know. I try to convince, oh, come to church with me. I already brought people. For example, I have an American friend that lives next to me. He's from the USA. He's a Catholic, and I brought him 2 weeks ago to the Orthodox Church, and he loved it. It was very beautiful for him. So always that I can, I do this, and I'm also how's it called? You have the word padrinho, like in the baptism, like your крестный отец, the one that your father in by baptism. So I'm already one of those for a friend that he was a Catholic. He got interested in Orthodoxy. He got baptized, and me and Lada are his padrinos. So we're his like the baptism parents of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I already brought him to Orthodoxy. There's another friend that I brought. He's soon getting chrismated as well. So yeah, slowly with patience, we're bringing people. People are getting convinced. People are going to church. People are going to, as you say, catechumenates to become catechumens. Perhaps, do you know what a catechumen is? Perhaps you don't have this much in Romania because in the moment you are born, you're already baptized. But here in Brazil, no. You need to go through a process of catechumenate, which usually either goes like 6 months, a year, like learning with your priest. And when you're ready, you finally get baptized. In Russia, I didn't have this. You just went to church and said, "Oh, okay, tomorrow you come, you get baptized." But no, here people have to wait like 6 months, 1 year, in order to be sure that they are that they want really to be Orthodox. So yeah, slowly I'm doing this, bringing people to the true Church of Jesus Christ. And yeah, I wish that in the future I will be able to do this better. Like always that in every moment, occasion that I can, I do it.
We know very well that all of us, we are sinners. We have this heritage of the sin since the moment we are born in this world. On the other hand, church is perceived like a place where we can confess about our sinners, and a church, a place where we can get forgiveness and also redemption. Being an Orthodox, how do you perceive the church? Is a church, from your point of view, some kind of hospital for the wounded souls, for a hospital for sinners, and they will get healed in the future because of their communion to Jesus Christ and to God? In some other words, what do church represent for you? Is like hospital where you can get better in the future?
Yeah, sure. Like we say here, Jesus is a doctor, and the doctor doesn't come to the cured. The doctor comes to the sick. So many people have this mentality. Oh, for example, everyone is a sinner, of course, but oh, I'm, for example, in a very hard sin. I'm living a very sinful life. For example, drinking very much, partying, like getting the girls, stuff like that. So I need to first stop that in order to go to church. That no. The church is for the sick. Like in the moment that you are the most sinful, it's the moment that you need the church the most. You always, of course, need the church, but it's the moment you need the most is the moment that you're committing more sins. So yeah, people have this false idea that I will start being a Christian, I'll start being an Orthodox once I stop sinning, once I stop doing this thing that it's no. For example, I don't remember which one. I think Father Seraphim Rose. I don't remember now, but he was he or other one. I don't remember. Before converting to Orthodoxy, an American one, he was a homosexual. He had like a boyfriend, and he started going with him together to the church, like in a very sinful state. We are sinful, we are sinners, but he was in a state that we see as a very which people may think, oh, I need to stop that first in order to go to the church. That no, regardless, whatever doing sinful, no problem, go to the church, and the church is the hospital for you. Jesus is the doctor you need. So yeah, I see this. The church as a hospital for the sinners, for the sick of soul. So we always need to go to church.
And now I would have a last question for you, but this last question will be an imaginary exercise for you. you have already gathered some spiritual experiences. This is why you have your Orthodox convictions, and you can confess about your Orthodox pilgrimage even to your friends and also to your family. Let's imagine someone of your age, someone of your generation, would meet for the first time Orthodox spirituality. He is depressed, he is hopeless, he has no personal convictions, but because he meets orthodoxy, he starts to wonder what orthodoxy is, and maybe if I should take a step to become an Orthodox, what would you recommend him regarding his relation to the Orthodox Church, and what kind of book would you recommend him to read for the first time so that he can better understand and perceive the Orthodox spirituality?
Well, I think that the Orthodox spirituality, one thing that differentiates us from the Catholics is that the Catholics, they focus a lot on books, on learning. For example, Thomas Aquinas, like learning Thomism, the logics behind all. But no, I think not only think, but I'm sure that Orthodox is another thing. Orthodox is not about learning, reading a lot of books, like learning the logics. Oh, let's like prove by the logics that God exists. No, Orthodoxy is the mystic, is the spirituality, is you learn by living it. You know, you don't learn Orthodoxy by reading books. You learn by living the Orthodox life. So with one friend of this, I would recommend him going to church, and especially talking to a priest or a bishop, because the words of a priest and a bishop are way more important than my words. They were in a seminary for a long time. They were way more than me in their Orthodox journey, but I would sure recommend him to go to church, to see how the Orthodox life is, to begin living it, and to constantly talk with the priest, because those people help a lot. I personally, I need someone to do confessions here. I know that there in Eastern Europe, it's very frequent to see that people have the starets, the like the spiritual father in the church. No, here in Brazil we don't have this privilege, because it's we don't have that many monks, and we have very small number. So what I would recommend to a friend is talk to the priest, talk to the bishop, begin the catechumenate, and this will change the life. Because something that I notice is that, of course, there are various reasons that can lead to the depression, but one of the biggest ones to my generation is lack of purpose. Well, lack of purpose in life, lack of believing something bigger than you, a purpose bigger than you, that, for example, people don't believe in anything. I'm not I don't have any ideologies, but one of my critics of the liberal capitalist society is that capitalism ends up being like a purpose by itself. For example, in a capitalist society, you don't work in order to do a better society. You don't work in order to build things better for everyone. No, the goal of the capitalism is to become rich for yourself. Like the money is the end in itself, nothing else than the money. You don't get the money to help the society. No, the end of the capitalist society is to get the money to become richer and richer and richer, and this is meaningless. This is materialistic. This is horrible. Communists had many problems, but at least from the people that I see, probably you can say better because you live in a former socialist country. The people that usually live in this kind of places weren't so depressed, because of course there were a lot of problems in those countries, especially atheism. But they were at least working for society, for the common good of the society. Like I remember even talking like to old Russian people when I was in Russia. They said, "Oh, in the past, everyone helped each other, everyone cared for each other. Like we all saw ourselves as a society that progressed. Like we went to the moon, Yuri Gagarin." We to the cosmos, yeah. We did a lot of wonderful things. We helped each other. We worked for the common good. But no, everyone only works for himself now. Everyone only cares about himself. So that's my biggest critic of capitalism: is the individuality, the egoism, only thinking about yourself, only caring about yourself. These generate depressions because being a god over yourself, you yourself, like it leads you into a place that it leads to depression because you aren't doing anything for a greater cause. So living the Orthodox life is living for a greater cause, is living for a cause that will lead the society to somewhere better. So I think, yeah, the Orthodoxy is the best hospital for people with depression because it will give a purpose for these people.
I want to thank you from the bottom of my soul for having accepted this interview. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I confess, I had the opportunity to learn a lot of things from you. It was a very impressive spiritual conversation that I have just had with you. And I really hope I will be able to meet you even in the future and to continue this series of our discussions because there are a lot of problems we can talk about, a lot of topics we can talk about. And not least, I want to congratulate you for your maturity, for your spiritual road, for your understanding, and for the message you can spread to everyone because it is truly amazing and impressive. And not least, thank you so much for your time to tell me and to highlight your spiritual experience. It's been a real pleasure for me.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much. It was a very nice talk. I love talking to brothers in faith. And sure, let's do this another time. Let's always, when you want, I'm almost always free to talk. So thank you very much.
Thank you as well. And I wish you all the best and may God bless you in everything you want to do.
You too. As we say in Russian, спаси, сохрани. God saves and bless you, yeah. And guards you, yeah.
And in Romanian we say Doamne ajută, which means may God help you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Have a nice day.
Goodbye, you too.
Bye. Goodbye. Thank you.